that bar.
That extra gear, that first 3 steps.
Huge strides in the performance.
That I might not be the player I am today.
Okay, welcome to another episode of Behind the Gear. And today I'm sitting with, what's your name again? No. Today I'm sitting with Kevin Galerno and Max Campbell. And Kevin and Max and myself have been working together for quite a while now, a couple of years with Max, and then almost 6, 7 years or 8 years almost with Kevy. And today I thought we'd do something a little bit different, where we're going to talk to a couple of guys that are in the industry that are, skill development coaches working with young kids and on a daily basis with teams, associations, coaches, parents, all that kind of stuff, and kind of get a little bit more of a perspective on what it's like, on that side of it, as far as, being that skills coach and working with these young, especially minor hockey associations and coaches and all that kind of stuff. Right. But first, a little bit of background on both you guys, just, so people kind of have an idea that you do know how to skate and do up skates, and you always put your skates on the right feet and stuff like that. But Max, we'll start with you because you're young, a little bit young and better looking than us. Yeah. But Max, yeah, you grew up in, like, your hometown is
Strathroy, Ontario is where I grew up. Played all my minor hockey. I guess it's about 20 minutes west of London for, I guess, the people who don't know.
The
Strathroy.
Rockets.
Yeah.
Strathroy Rockets.
Yeah. So smaller town. But yeah, grew up in Strath. Played minor hockey there. That was about
And
it.
when you, because I mean, from what you've said before, like, you were like pretty terrible hockey player when you were young. So, but you played all your minor hockey in Strath though, and obviously just played, because Strath back then, did they have A or double A at all, or was it just was it a B or a C center just because it's a smaller center?
Yeah. So I think it's double B is Strathroy. But just like any other small town, like there's the rep team, the AE team, and then a ton of local leagues. It always was like a pretty big hockey town, so it was never like a registration issue. Like, the numbers were always there, so it was always a ton of kids out there.
Yeah.
But
and then when did you start playing more competitive? Well, actually, first before that, when did you start playing? Like, how old were you? Because I know you got a brother as well. So
yeah.
Was your dad kind of trying to get you guys into it right away, or did it take a little bit of time to get you going?
Yeah, I think like my dad played hockey as well, so I think he was probably pretty keen on getting me on skates. And I think I was 4 from the stories that I've heard when I first started to skate. And he tells a funny story about like when I first went out, obviously barely stand up and just like falling all over the place. And they came to like take me off the ice, and I was like, no, I want to stay on. So it wasn't like I wasn't forced or anything. So it was just something I enjoyed doing at a young age for sure.
Oh, that's cool. And then at what age did you kind of take it more, I guess, serious or more competitive? Like, did you ever jump into that double A or triple A loop?
Yeah.
At what age did that happen?
I think when I was like I was a late birth year. I know that everyone always uses that as an excuse nowadays, but I was late birthday.
That's why you're a little slow.
Yeah, December birthday. So in the novice and maybe even into Adam, like I never could really make that rep team. A lot of my buddies were all making like the rep team, and I was kind of in that AE bubble. I think I even played house league 1 year, and then we had like a really good core group in Strathroy. So once I got to like Adam, I was pretty consistently making the rep team, and I think we won like 6 OMHA, 5. I did 5 OMHA championships, and like
no big deal.
Yeah, I had a silver stick. So like I always tried to make the jump up to AAA. I think like probably from like Adam all the way to midget. I tried out every single year.
Right.
Like half my buddies were making the team. Like every year, like they'd scoop another Strathroy kid. And I never could crack the roster, but it was like, oh, well, I'm going to go back to a good group of guys back in Strathroy, and we'll be contenders to win again. So it wasn't like I was just kind of going to a
you had a good situation.
Yeah, exactly, for sure, yeah.
Now, do you have a jacket, like a couple jackets in your closet with a bunch of OMHAs?
Oh, man. It gets carried away. Yeah. I don't know if I have anything left, but there was definitely a ton of jackets and the rings that no one ever wears.
All the dads
watches, I think we had one year.
So then it was, so then obviously you got cut a bunch because you weren't that good, and then finally your dad paid the coach. And then, what age was it when you did make that jump? Because I know that you eventually did get in that AAA level. Yeah.
So again, like I kept getting cut. I tried out for Elgin Middlesex was my center, my AAA center, and I never tried to go anywhere else. Like I had friends to go back to in Strath, and we had a good thing going there. So it wasn't until my minor midget year, right, and then you get all the, like, I don't know, remember Justin Azevedo and my buddy Jeremy Klaber, a couple of these really good players that were good at the minor major level. and they made the jump to junior B. So it opened up a couple of roster spots for a couple of guys. So I squeaked on, and I think we had like half the team was from like Strathroy that year, but I guess that was my chance, and it didn't actually turn out to be the best year anyway. Like I was still like third, fourth line. So
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, it wasn't the best experience, but
Yeah.
finally.
But I mean, you got that extra A on your jersey. Like now you're triple A.
triple
which is
A.
a big thing.
Oh, yeah, for
But I mean,
sure.
it probably kind of set you up a little bit for the next couple of years moving forward, right? Like coming out of that, playing triple A, obviously.
Yeah.
Coaches and scouts and stuff look at you a little bit differently when you're playing, triple A. Unfortunately, it's kind of true.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Okay, we'll pause there for a second. Then, Kev, with you, at what age did you start playing hockey?
I think I have the stereotypical story. It's kind of like Max, where my dad threw me out there at 2 or 3, and probably cried himself to sleep because I couldn't stand up. But I think most dads, I don't know, you probably have that story with your guy. Yeah. I'm sure Max and I'll have the same thing. But I wasn't crazy. I think I was maybe like 3 or 4 up on skates and didn't play. Don't think I started playing organized hockey till or like. There wasn't development back then, but started playing in Sudbury at 5 or 6 on kind of a team or group or whatever you want to call it. But so I was born in Sudbury and played my first few years of hockey there, and then didn't really start taking it too serious until my parents they moved the family up to Kitchener-Waterloo area, and that's right when AAA started was our first year moving up here. So I played there for 2 years right away, right when AAA started, and then. Got caught in that. They ended up moving out to a small town just outside of Cambridge, actually, which is Kitchener. They call it the Tri-Cities. So Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge is about an hour and a half west of Toronto. And that's even though I was born in Sudbury, I'd kind of say my childhood was there. That's where I grew up.
How dare you? Sudbury's where you're from, by the Rock. Come on.
Don't worry, there's nothing to claim. There's no 6 Ontario championships like Max to claim.
Right. No big deal.
Yeah. But so I went out there, and I'm sure we'll get into the playing AAA, and you were joking about that extra A, but I moved out to this little small town of 1,000 people, Air, and started playing, and I played a couple years of Air and stopped playing AAA, and it was the best thing ever. And you can probably attest to that, like playing in Strath, like you played with your buddies, you went to school with the same guys you were hanging out with and playing hockey with, and it was fun, and then I was kind of like you later on, Bantam Midget, I made the jump back to AAA, but there's a lot to be said for playing in those small towns, and nothing wrong with playing AAA all the way up or AA or, depending on where you're from, but it was a pretty good experience playing in the small towns and like I said, playing with the same buddies you went to school with and played hockey with and hung out with on the weekends. So it was
for sure. And I think a lot of times too, parents get caught up with that AAA. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes the coaches are better. Like if it's a good dad whose kid's playing A or B or whatever it is, small center, sometimes you're going to get better development at that lower level. I know the competition is not going to be as good night in, night out, but at the same time, what's more important, right? And I've got a young guy, obviously, and a young girl, and that's one thing that we don't struggle with. I have no interest in pushing them or trying to get them too competitive yet. I just want them to have fun, whatever sport it is. Doesn't matter if it's hockey or whatever, but let them have fun, let them enjoy it, let them figure it out. And then, if they do love it and I see that they do have a bit of drive, then that's something that maybe we'll, try to pursue a little bit.
It's probably easier for you because you see it every day. So, not that other parents don't, they're kids, they get to do what they want, but you see it every day with kids that maybe don't love it as much as mom and dad do. So you see let them have fun.
And I think we're all in the industry. So we all kind of, and we've all played at a pretty high level. So you have a different view on it for sure. And it's tough because you kind of joked, you guys will go through it. Like, you got a little guy right now, Max, and when he starts doing sports, no matter what it is, like my little guy played soccer this summer and like he's pretty good. He can run fast. He loves getting balls, likes playing defense and stuff. And part of you, I played soccer a bit growing up, but I'm not a soccer guy. And I'm like kind of as a dad, just like, come on, keep going, bud. Like get that ball, and there's 6, like as if, right? Yeah. But then on the other side of it, I don't yell, I don't scream, I don't give him pep talks in the car on the way to the soccer pitch. I'm like, buddy, you have fun today? Hey, you know what, man? You worked really hard. It was awesome. I love seeing you working that hard. I love seeing you sweating. Yeah. And so you got to kind of put both hats on and off a little bit, right? And especially take that crazy dad hat off a lot because it does creep up on you. And sometimes it creeps up and punches you in the face. And you're like, what am I doing?
Sure.
So it's one of those things, and I think, going back to what you're saying about the small towns, that, you know, I grew up in a small town. I mean, I started playing hockey in an outdoor rink. That was my first league I played in. That's how old I am. Old as shit. But yeah, and I mean, but it was awesome, man. It was the first introduction to hockey for me, and I was 9 years old and played out, you know, outdoors, and it was awesome. But it was at our community rink. It was right by the house. You'd walk down there every night and go play, you know, shinny with your buddies and stuff like that.
And sorry, I don't know. Have you gone through your where you started on any of these before?
A little bit, yeah. Like I mean, I was, you know, I mean, I'm from Sudbury as well, and obviously I've got a younger brother who's a year younger than I am, so we're both, you know, fairly athletic at young ages. Probably maybe a little bit overweight because I didn't do much until I was like 7. Well, we were active.
To stay warm up there.
Yeah, it was
Cold
weird
winters.
though, man. My parents were like not into. They were both athletic, but in the summers, like we didn't play summer sports because we had a camp, call them camps up there that we went to for most of the summer. So we'd go out there and we'd spend the summer out there. So never played like baseball or soccer competitively. Played with buddies, but never organized. But hockey we got into because we moved into a new neighborhood. Kids were playing ball hockey in the street. We kind of, oh, hey, cool. Kind of got into it that way. And then I literally remember coming home saying, hey, Dad, I think I want to play hockey. And my brother's like, yeah, me too. And then we were in the truck and within 13 seconds and went off to, you know, I think it was played again, grabbed a bunch of gear. One of the first pairs of skates I had was one of my mom's old ringette, like black blades, Bowers, just terrible. Wore those for a year. Like some of the pictures I have, just the worst buckets, like awful. But then I fell in love with it, and then that was it. Like once I got into it, I just, you know, it was awesome. So, and going back again, those minor hockey years, getting cut, you know, it's not obviously the best thing, but sometimes it turned out real good. Yeah. And you end up playing with a good bunch of guys or good coach.
And you probably dealt with that a lot.
Yeah, I got cut quite a bit. I might start crying.
So
here.
you're super strong then.
Yeah, thick skin, don't bleed. Yeah. I don't bleed. So now, you know, let's say we fast forward a little bit. Now we're into that kind of competitive time where you guys are starting to make that jump a little bit into that AA, AAA. But Max, you said it was minor midget for you, which at that point was a draft year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of pressure for a lot of these kids. I don't know if you remembered it at all, like as far as what it was like around the rinks or with scouts watching and things like that. But
like that year was tough because like probably about halfway through the year, I was kind of solidified as like third, fourth line type player. And we had a coach come in who just right off the start didn't really, I don't know, things just weren't working out. And then halfway through, one of the kids' dads ended up taking over. Yeah. So it was tough too. Like, I don't know, our team was like decent middle of the pack, but just kind of got caught in that third, fourth line role. And I don't know, honestly, I just didn't really care for hockey too much at that point. Like I was kind of got down a little bit about.
Did it turn you off?
Yeah, it definitely did. And you're also, I'm in high school, right? So you're hanging out with friends and you start getting into this different stuff on the weekends, like right?
Girls?
Girls, right? And then it's like, oh, you know what? Hockey's been fun. It's not really going to work out. Like clearly third, fourth line guy, like some of these guys are going off to junior and, but I always enjoyed being at the rink and stuff like that. So I kept working hard and, you know, when I got my chance, I tried to do whatever I could. But as far as like a development for that year, I don't know if it really did a whole lot for me, but, I guess going on to the next year, I was fortunate to jump on a junior C team.
And how'd that happen? Like they kind of recruit you and talk to you, or do you have to go to tryouts or?
Yeah, you know what? I'm from Strathroy. So Strathroy has a junior B team. Yeah. So, I'm not sure who the coach or I don't know who was involved at the time, but they had me come out to their junior B. I think they just kind of invited all the AAA players and some of the higher level guys out of the minor midget, minor hockey, Strathroy minor hockey. Yeah. And I think I had a decent camp. Like I probably grew a little bit that summer. Like that's in that kind of time range where you throw a little bit of size on. And I went into camp and I kind of knew from the start again. I think it was 3 16-year-olds at the time.
You may have just started junior when they started implementing that rule, I think, right? Because before that, I mean, you could play at 14 in junior.
Yeah, but I think you still could, but an underager, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you could have a 14-year-old, but that counts as when you're underage.
No, that's what I mean. But you could only have, because then before it was wide open, I think, and then they kind of started tightening it up a little bit.
I think it was 3. And I knew like buddies, like my one buddy he played on the team as a 15-year-old. Like there was already the 3 spots were clearly already taken. And there was another guy I think I was battling with that played in the night system here. But so right away, like as soon as you got cut from Strathroy, they sent you down to junior C camp. And same thing, I think I went in there and had a decent camp, and they signed myself and a couple other like local Strathroy guys. So it turned out to be like a really, really fun year, like a really fun group of guys. I know now there's no junior D nowadays, but like junior C and D, like stereotypically guys who maybe really don't have the drive anymore to play. Like some of the older guys like to party and, you know, but honestly for me, as a 16-year-old to go in there and I got to play on one of the top lines. Like I played with two 20-year-olds, I think that year. And it was just like a really, really fun group, fun experience. So it kind of brought back like that happy hockey feeling, like got excited every time. We carpooled from Elvinston was the team I played for. Probably like 20, 25 minute drive. So like, it was just, you're in high school, like carpooling with your buddies.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
It was a really fun year and we ended up doing a lot better than people thought we were going to do. So
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Now on the back of your hockey card in junior D, what would your stats be as far as just your height and weight at that point? What would it be? Give us a ballpark.
I want to say maybe like 5'10", 150. I don't even know. Man. Like
150.
I was a beanpole. Like there's a heavy gust of wind. I was gone for sure. But
But would you say in junior C is kind of when you kind of found, like obviously you had skill all the way up, but kind of found your swagger on the ice? Because I mean, obviously playing, we had a chance to play with you and scrimmage with you and stuff like that, and you got good vision, obviously a smart player, and you got real good skill. I'm assuming that's kind of when you started to realize, okay, maybe I can like actually play.
Yeah, and I don't know if I did make a jump, like maybe like physically that summer or whatever, but just I think being able to play with the older guys kind of felt like a little bit of a safety blanket for me too. Like young guy, a pretty undersized, like skinny guy, and like I was scared of my shadow at that age. Like I didn't, anyone comes near me, like, here, just have the puck. Like, I don't want it. Just take it. I'll change. It's fine. Like, but, I think just having those guys on my line, and they were pretty good skilled players, like, and just fitting in with them, I think that did a ton for my confidence. But
even knowing, like, when you have 220s or a tough guy on your line, you do whatever you want, and you know they're just going to come in and be like, "Hey, don't touch him."
Oh,
you
just
have so
true.
much room, and you have like your balls grow by 100 times. It's amazing,
sure, and there's definitely some meatballs out there, like trying to run at you.
Back because that was the 1970s, was it? No, for sure. And then, Kev, for you started playing kind of AA, AAA at what? So getting back into it, I guess.
Back then, I don't remember if it was minor or major bantam. Might have been major, I think. It was probably major bantam. So did major bantam and minor midget, and we, just had kind of nothing special. We were just a middle of the pack team, I think, and had kind of one high end player, maybe a couple guys that were drafted. I wasn't one of them, but I was never on the radar or to be drafted, anything like that. I was severely undersized and was always kind of.
Thanks, mom and dad.
Yeah, no doubt. So I went through those years, and then you start going to, junior B, junior C camps, deciding what you want to do. And I made the decision after minor midget to play major midget. And I think that's kind of like that. I think now looking back on it for parents, when they're like, oh man, he's not AAA, he's not AA, he's done. He can't play hockey. It's just like, oh, they're done minor midget. They're playing major midget. Oh, they're done. There's no hockey future anymore. Those are kind of like two milestones I look at now where I'm like, it's okay. Minor or major midget's fine. You can play major midget. I did it. You did it.
Yeah.
And Max played junior C. There's different avenues for everyone. So I did that major midget year, and then I made the jump to my first year. I was kind of up and down, junior C, junior B, a little bit of both, and then kind of, I think that's, you were talking about with Max about where you found your swagger, your stride. That first full year junior B is probably where I started to be like, yeah, maybe, I always wanted a scholarship. That was my goal. I never really looked too much at going to the OHL. It was never a real big option for me. So it's kind of where I realized, I think I can do this. If I put in the time and the effort, and I think I can make this happen. And a couple years later, it did. So, but it was a long haul for me. Like I played all my. Did you play all your junior?
No.
Really?
No, I left with 2 years left, so 18.
Yeah, so I played all my years of junior, and so it was a kind of a long road for me. Which for me, I needed it. I needed all those years. I was 20 years old going into college. and going to school and the NCAA. So I needed those extra years, and it worked out perfect for me.
No, for sure. And on the back of your stat card, what would your height? What would your height and weight read?
Well, I may have been 151, so I think I got max, but I was probably like 5'4", like even smaller comparatively now. Like then, even smaller.
That's kind of crazy that you already started shrinking because you're like 5'2" now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah.
But junior, like, how fun was junior? You know, if you had a good squad or a good place or a good, bunch of guys. I know that, you played for Kitchener Junior B, and you had, I think you billeted a couple guys. You had guys that were close to you, right? And I think you had a hot tub too, which, I mean, that makes everything just a little bit better, right? Yeah. A couple nice nights in there. Mom and dad were pretty excited about that.
I'm sure they woke up lots of mornings like, what is in there? What is that?
Oh, that's panties, Mom. I'll grab those. But those are all in. I mean, when I played midget as well in Sudbury. Came down and tried out when I was out of minor midget, and I was maybe had an opportunity to play like a third, fourth, or probably a fourth line in and out of the lineup with the junior B team, and decided to go back. And it was the best thing I did. I went back, played another year of midget, and ended up becoming the captain. We went to the All Ontarios. It was great. Like, it was awesome. And then actually had a lot more opportunity. And I'm sure it was the same with you. You go back, play midget. Not a lot of people call them before that, and then you have a real good midget year, and all of a sudden now you're older and you got tons of opportunity to get play and probably pick a little bit of the teams that you want to go to, And I think that's a big thing for a lot of the kids, that just being patient. Sometimes try to rush it, and parents try to rush it and put them in situations that they're not going to be successful in. Just like, kind of like playing AAA. Is it better for your son to be a 10th forward on a AAA team with 9 forwards, or is it better for them to go back and play AA and dominate a little bit and get some more confidence? Yeah. It's depends on who you talk to, but I think that confidence piece is a big piece. And like in the game, you went through a year where like you could have turned the corner and said, you know what, I'm done. I'm going to go back to Strath, play midget, and then play juvenile and knock up a girl and work cutting for London Hydro. Yeah. But so it's like a lot of those things happen for certain reasons. But you end up going to Strathroy, so end up playing for the Rockets. And obviously that's kind of where things, I think things started to take off a little bit as you got to midget and then junior, but junior B was kind of where you really snowed everybody.
Yeah. After that junior C year, like we had a pretty good finish in playoffs, I think. And then right away, Strathroy was like, I had been talking to the guys, and I think I signed like in the summer with Strathroy for the following year. And then I actually went out to the Knights camp too. Like, I think Dale and Mark are from that area, like the Elvinston area. Yeah. So I remember them coming to a couple games even. And there was a couple different guys on the team that they were kind of looking at. So we went to like the development camp, like the spring camp, I think, or whatever. Obviously, like it was a good skate, a lot of younger players and stuff like that. I don't think I got invited back to the main camp or anything, but still a pretty cool experience. Yeah. And then made the jump up to Strath the next year. And then same thing, just like ton of confidence kind of going into the year. And I was able to play with a couple older guys again. There was definitely a jump in the level of play and like the commitment and the skill set and everything like that. But same kind of idea. Like I had a pretty solid year as a first, I guess would have been 17, right? Played with a couple older guys and finished, I think, top 5 in scoring on the team. So it was,
that's good.
Yeah. Same thing. We had an average team, kind of went on a bit of a run in playoffs and it was really, cool. And hometown too, right? So
it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Being in Strathroy, it was almost like, I think I was in, I don't know if that was like grade 13, like the victory lap, or grade 12, but you just think like you have balls, exactly. Like
did you drive a Camaro and stuff?
No, I drove my mom's minivan actually. It was called the Lumina, the Chevy Lumina. It looked like the Dustbuster. I dropped my mom off at work and then I take that to school. Oh my goodness, man!
But back then though, just as long as you had wheels, and vans were actually, we had a minivan too, and they were. I hated driving it obviously, but it was kind of good to fit a ton of
all the guys,
jam it up, man. That's like a 12-seater back then.
Kind of stories. Yeah. I remember you could take like the middle row out. Yeah. So like some guys would sit in the back. It'd be like a limo almost. Like they're sitting in the back. And I remember one time we put lawn chairs in the middle. No way. So no chairs. We had lawn. Yeah.
So no lawn chairs
to
put in lawn.
Chairs. Yeah. Like.
Did you ever take the seats out and put a mattress in there?
No, I don't think I did actually.
Come on, Maxie.
Well, maybe.
I was gonna go back to Knight's development camp. What was it like? Like, do you remember your first impression of Mark Hunter?
No, I don't even know if he was around. I don't know. Like, all I remember, I don't know. Like, those years seem to fly by. Like, I don't remember everything, but I know that was the year. Like, remember Kostitsin?
Yeah.
So he was like their big. I guess he would have been. Would he have been drafted or how?
Yeah, he would have been. I think he got taken in the import draft. Not 100% sure, but I think he would have been.
So I remember like showing up at camp and he was there, and like I'll get into other stuff later, but like I remember like all the first rounders are like the big guys. You come in and they got all brand new gear and stuff like that, and then you get the guys that like are just there, and you get like the bucket from like 3 years ago, and like chin straps like way too big for you, but like. But I remember sitting beside Kostitsin, couldn't speak a lick of English. Like his translator was right beside there, and then like a bunch of other guys. And I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, this is so awkward. Like, I'm already like super like nervous guy. Like, but I remember being super nervous. Like,
for sure.
Super.
I think
like,
I think most guys are. You know, I say boys because they're young at that age.
I was
15,
16.
16.
Yeah. Like. I just remember just being like super stressed out, like, worrying about how I'm going to do. And like it was awesome experience. Like, it was like, I think that was when the Bud Gardens it's called now, but that's when it was like just built. So it was like a big deal.
Was like 2000, 2001, 2002, somewhere around there, right?
No, this would have been 05. So maybe it would have been
because 05 is when they won the Memorial Cup.
Okay, so then that's what all the hype was.
Yeah, because they had just won in 05.
Yeah, so that's when it was.
And they had like Perry and Hunter, like Dylan was playing there then.
So 04, 05 would have been the year I played junior C.
Yeah.
So it was that summer.
Yeah, okay, so then that would have been right after.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would have been
probably, and I remember like some of the guys coming out to skate, like I was playing with like Drew Larman and like Fritchie or whatever. I'm just like, what am I doing out here? Like I do not belong here.
Yeah.
But
no, it's just funny because even maybe last week we were in the Knights locker room and Mark, I introduced him and he rhymed off like 4 things about you. Like, oh yeah, you played Strathroy and you had a pretty good year. And it's amazing the hockey guys, like, especially the old school hockey guys, it just like there's no computer or iPhone, it's sticky notes and like a pad. They remember everything, man.
Oh, for sure.
So it was kind of cool to hear him.
That was
and
really
for young guys coming into camp, like. We've been worked with the Knights for a lot of years and done a lot of their development camps and stuff like that. But it's got to be intimidating coming in sometimes to see Mark and Dale Hunter, and even just their demeanor. Like they're just they're great guys, but they're not a lot of smiles. They're not a lot of smiles or fist pumps, as camps going on and stuff like that. But it does send a message sometimes that it's business and we're here to try to put together a winner and kind of go from there, right? And then Kev, when you were playing junior and stuff, were you like, as kind of you're going through that junior B process, were there schools talking to you and like, were there kind of teams that were interested? Were you going on visits, things like that? Or was
I definitely did that. And it got a little more intense every year. Like my last 3 years at junior were in Kitchener and, my Kitchener junior B. So my eligibility was still there. And every year it kind of ramped up a little bit, but I was not like, even Max, probably had a lot of kind of high end schools after you, I'm going to guess. And
later on, like, but not a ton, but.
Yeah. And did it happen fast for you?
Yeah. Like, just as soon as you had like it was earlier on in the season for me, like I had a great start and then all of a sudden it was like, and I think that's the time of the year, right? Schools are like, they're out hard looking for guys to commit early.
That was going into your second year.
Second year. That was the following year. But it happened really quick.
My process was like a little slower. Like it was talking to some teams, going on some visits, and I went on some Division III visits as well. Because I didn't know what was going to happen, especially early, like my first year or two. And then coming into that second year, going into my final year, I was like, no, I think I was talking to enough Division I teams where I was like, I'm I feel confident I'm going to get something. So went on a couple visits, and then I committed right at the beginning of my final season to Alabama Huntsville. At the time was pretty unknown and nobody good ever went there.
Whoa.
No.
I was legit.
But so I ended up going there and it was great.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Hey, money's money. If they're going to offer a scholarship,
for sure.
And that's one thing I tell, I tell a lot of young kids this. I look at Alabama Huntsville more as like a Division IB, and that's no knock on them. It's just, and they're growing. I mean, they're getting a lot better. They're putting a lot of money into it. It's been getting, but they've had a lot of ups and downs over the last 10 years.
But the NCAA's changed a lot over the last 5 years, especially 10.
For sure.
So I would say I agree with you that, you know, when you went there and I went there, they were probably, like a tier 2 or 1B, whatever you want to call it. Now with the reconfiguration, and they don't seem to have as much of that parity anymore.
Yeah.
But then when I went, it was still fun. Like, got to
amazing.
play against guys like Max Campbell. So
That's true.
great.
Wow, that was
Pretty
good.
crazy.
Yeah.
Who won that game?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know.
We
played
would
Western, but I think it was a year before you. We played you guys a couple times.
I think we played you guys every year. Like it was, we went to Alabama Huntsville once, but I think
we missed you. I think we missed you by. I missed you by a year when I left.
Did you play with Mike Ward? Remember? Yeah.
1 year,
So I definitely played against him in the 1 year. I don't know if that would have been. So yeah, we would have.
So we're pretty close in age because we missed each other by a year.
Yeah,
Blazer here, I missed him by like 6 years.
Okay,
at
wait,
the
just
same
remember,
time.
you were a 20-year-old freshman. He was an 18-year-old freshman. You were probably, I remember playing against Western Michigan. They were pretty highly ranked, actually. We went into Western Michigan. I think we stole the first game. And the second game, we were tied. They might have won in overtime. I can't exactly remember, but I started a brawl, like kind of a bit of a, like not a brawl, but they had one guy on their team that was just chirping and whatever. So the buzzer went at the end of the game. Both teams, I think they just won, and I was pissed. Might have been my last year, so I think I might have been the captain. And both teams went to their goalie, and I just beelined it to this guy. And as they're going into the goalie, and I just clipped him, like it came in, just hammered him and knocked him through. And then everyone, like our whole team came down. Nothing ended up happening.
Not in college.
But then later on, I went to, like years later, I was playing pro, and we were reminiscing about stories and stuff like that. This happened to me twice, actually. Talking about stories and like, oh yeah, we played Western Michigan. One of the guys played at Western Michigan. It's like, yeah, we played Alabama Huntsville. We got into like a brawl after one of the games. I'm like, I started as like, you hit me. Like it was a whole thing. Like,
That's awesome.
Yeah,
No way.
it was funny because I never remember like names.
the guy's
very well.
name,
But how great is hockey like that? Like, I'm sure you had it, like whether you're in pro, you're in the coast there, or in Europe, and you run into some guy and you're like, I remember that game. Like that was on me, or you did that to me. Or like, you know, we were both there, like so great. Or my roommate, he told me that story.
Yeah.
And like,
I just telling Blazer, like on the weekend, I ran into the captain for my junior C team.
No
Like
way.
at the golf course. I was just like, what are the chances?
Yeah,
I
which
haven't
is
seen
crazy.
I haven't seen him in the pride since I played with him.
Do you look the same?
Exactly the
Did he?
same. Yeah, acted the exact same. Like such a great guy, but it was like it didn't seem like 12 years ago,
Yeah.
or whatever it was. But
Well, man, I just went down to Alabama Huntsville last year for our 20th. 20 years, man.
That's
20
crazy.
years that some of the guys I hadn't seen.
20 years since what though?
Well, since we might have won the national
Oh,
championship
big deal.
for D2.
me too.
I should be like, we won the national championship for D2. But yeah, no, it was awesome. And some of these guys I hadn't seen in 20 years. And, you know, when you think of hockey, it's the same thing. Like a lot of the guys haven't changed. A couple guys put on a couple of LBs. But overall, it was great to see those guys hang out, reminisce a bit, and, you know, catch up. And it's pretty cool. And I mean, we all know this, but the hockey community is pretty small, right?
Yeah.
And everyone's kind of got 1 or 2 degrees of separation. We could talk about guys that we know this guy, that know that guy.
Sure,
and,
yeah.
you know, so it kind of keeps a kind of a tighter knit group, right? We'll just talk quickly about kind of getting those scholarships and what that was like, and then we'll breeze through college hockey quick because it's a fun time. We could probably talk about that for a whole episode.
Yeah.
Because I want to get into a little bit more of the skill development stuff as we get going through. Because I know, you know, we grew up in a different era. Mine's a different era than you guys, but things have changed a lot since we were playing. But the process of getting a scholarship hasn't really changed that much. I mean, if you put up numbers and you play well, and now maybe if you have, you know, an agent or we got to call them, they're not
Advisors.
Yeah, they're called advisors, not agents. But if you have somebody helping you out, working for you, kind of pushing your name around a little bit, now there's opportunity for that. But the process is very similar. So school likes you, Alabama Huntsville or Western Michigan, they like you. They're going to bring you down for some visits. You go down, check out the campus. And then what was the next? Because I mean, if you probably went on a couple of visits before you committed to Western Michigan.
I just went on one to Bowling Green, and I just kind of tagged along. They weren't even really looking at me. It was my buddy that they were looking at, but it was kind of close school to visit to. And it was cool. Like, I don't remember a ton about it. Like, I think it was just, we just kind of went through the facilities, looked at campus quickly, but
talked to the coach for like a minute.
Yeah.
Like,
but again, he wasn't even looking at me. So I was just like, it's cool. Like, I guess I'll just tag along. But no, like Kev was talking about, like, it just, everything happened pretty quick. I don't know if I think maybe October or something. And I got it to like a really good start. I had something crazy, like 15 points in 3 games or something like that to start the year. And then I just kind of kept it going. And there was definitely a few schools that were out, but nobody was really making offers off the start. And then Western was one of the first schools to make an offer. So you're in a tough spot because like you're having a great year. Like I had a good year before, and I hadn't really I had thought about doing college because I grew up in Strathroy. Steve McKeegan was he went to Miami. Yeah, he ran his goalie schools, and I worked with him growing up. And he really kind of forced, like, you guys should go to college. Like, if you get an opportunity, it's the best thing ever, right? And once I went to that Knights camp and realized I wasn't really going to make that team the next couple of years, I was just kind of like turned off a little bit by the major junior. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go for scholarship. And then when I got off to that hot start, and a couple teams started coming out, it was like, hey, this is for real. Like, actually could happen. And then when Western offered, I didn't really know much about college hockey. Like I did a little bit of research and I was like, hey, these guys play against like Michigan State and Michigan, Notre Dame. Like
they have jerseys, they have wraps.
Yeah. Like this is pretty crazy. Yeah. And then just like any school, like once they offer, like they want an answer, right? Like it takes a lot for them to make that offer, I think.
Usually when a school offers, then like 4 other schools jump on board and start offering.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And maybe that didn't happen, but that's why a lot of times they try to push because they know other schools are going to be coming in. They know someone else is going to be trying to offer, right?
And I don't know because maybe it was junior B that maybe there wasn't as much interest, or maybe they just thought, okay, it's so early in the year, like we'll wait it out a little bit, but there wasn't a ton of offers coming in. And once that happened, like I talked to my family and everyone, like it's close to home. Like it seemed like the perfect option. And then, like I talked to other couple good schools like Miami, of Ohio, which was like an awesome hockey school. Would have been really cool, but like they didn't want anything for that next year. And I don't know. There was a bunch of like little things like Colgate. I don't know. I don't know if my grades were good enough to get into Colgate or whatever, but, and then, Quinnipiac was the other big one. Yeah. So it was kind of between Quinnipiac and Western Michigan. And I committed to Western, and then the next day, like Quinnipiac, I like showed up at my game. They didn't know I committed yet. And they're like, are you kidding me? Like you already signed with, like, we were going to offer you to, like, I still would have picked Western just because like how was
that conversation?
No, but yeah. So the funny thing is the guy who came up to the game ended up being my assistant coach at Western 2 years later.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So the guy who committed me to Western took another job. I think D3, maybe head coach. And then this guy jumped in as the assistant.
That works so good that you got a guy that likes you, which is nice. Because sometimes they switch coaches in college. And
that happens a lot. Yeah, for sure.
Screwed.
But yeah, that was kind of my process, I guess.
Cabby. No, but you kind of like so similar situation, I'm sure, where Alabama's been watching. Yeah, a couple schools.
There was a local guy, Nathan Bowen, who's a good buddy of yours.
Yeah,
and we found, I don't know if you remember this, but like we found this out years after I started working for you. You went with him. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I remember.
He was home at like Christmas, and it was like right after New Year's. It was like January 2nd or 3rd or whatever it was, and we had a game. And he's from London. You were living here at the time.
Yeah, in his parents' basement. No, I had my own place at that point, but I started in his parents' basement.
You took the drive and saw, went with him. And I remember talking to him after the game, and you happened to be there, met you, didn't think too much about it, and ended up, fast forward a couple years later, went, played, whatever, and then, that's who introduced us after I was done.
That's right.
I moved back to Ontario, and he kind of got me in touch with you and started doing some stuff in the summers, and you were kind of the one that convinced me to not play hockey for real anymore and not be an athlete. But no, so I started doing this, and then it was kind of funny years later. Like, I think you came and do you remember this? I don't know how we put the pieces together. But
no, that's right.
Yeah. So,
and just like to clarify here, I never got you to stop playing hockey. So when you're 47 at the bar, liquored, and telling guys, I could have played the NHL, but Blazer stopped me from playing the show.
If there's anyone that's the epitome of like play until you're done playing, that's Blazer.
So both your knees blow out and you got a fake hip, keep playing.
You're ready to stop, don't stop, because you can't go back.
No, it's so true. And I mean, I feel even for me personally, like I got to play pro and I loved it, man. I love practicing, love playing it. And I got to that point where I was like, do I keep playing in the minors? Do I keep doing this and, making minimal money and, or do I get a real job? And looking back on it now, I kind of wish I had to play another couple of years. I don't regret it at all. I'm glad obviously everything's happened out great and it's all been good. But I probably, if I had to tell myself now, what I know now to that young guy, I would have said, keep playing, play for another couple of years, have fun, enjoy it.
Everybody probably stops, whether you're playing in the East Coast League or the NHL or Europe or wherever you're playing, everyone has, a similar, but a different reason for stopping. And maybe it's a family, and you can't keep going over to Europe, or it's an injury, you know, and you're like, oh, if I keep playing, my back's gonna be killing me for 20 years, you know, and I'm not gonna be able to pick up my kids or whatever it is. And everybody's a little different. And, you know, you mentioned the financial thing. You're kind of grinding it out, trying to make a buck every year to, you know, make a living or whatever. And mine was an opportunity with you. And I was kind of like, do I want to do it? And I was in Europe. So I always found it tough to come back. Be like, what do you do for those 4 months when you're back? You know, you don't make fine money, but I couldn't just sit around and do nothing. So I was like, what do I do when I get back? And you yourself and Scott, you were taking over the training center at the time.
That's right.
And kind of said, hey, you know, is this something you'd ever look at? And it's so funny that you play hockey your whole life and probably it's very different now, but I don't know about you, but and even Max might have been different, like coming through a couple years later, but skill development wasn't a word that I was familiar to me as a player until I was done and, you know, or finishing. And you kind of was like, no, a one-on-one on the ice with a kid. Like, what? You mean a whole sheet of ice for one player, you know? And that's kind of how that opportunity came up for me. And it was great.
For sure.
Yeah, no, it's something that's definitely evolved a bunch, you know, over the years. And we'll dive into that in a sec. But as far as college, Max, what were some of your highs and lows of college? Like kind of recapping college quickly as far as, and I know you kind of went through some times in college where it was just coaches riding you or whatever's going on and just things weren't great. And then obviously had some success, you know. Yeah. One thing we should mention though quickly is you got 15 points in 3 games in junior B, which is not like whatever. I mean, I did that in senior one time. It's not a big deal. But that year, I mean, you tore it up. And then you end up getting drafted out of junior B, which is a pretty big deal around here. I didn't know you at all, but I remember I was new to the area as I moved to London. I think it was 05, right as I think it was right when they won the cup. So when the Knights won the Memorial Cup. So a couple of years later, I'd heard about this kid in Strathroy that got drafted in the NHL out of junior B, and I was like, what a loser, he's playing B. You know? But it was a huge deal, right? I'm sure for Strath, it was a massive deal, you know, getting drafted out of junior B. But what was that whole experience like as far as just obviously having a good year, your hometown, and then all of a sudden like draft happens and wow, you're going, you know?
Yeah. And that year it flew by. Like it was crazy how quick things happen. Like you get like the scholarship happened and I was just like ecstatic obviously about that. Like, and then our team, like I probably had on that team again, like 5 or 6 of my closest friends. So it was like unbelievable. Like, and that was the year we had our victory lap in high school. So we weren't really going to school. Like, it's almost like you were playing like major junior or like, you know, living on your own kind of thing. Cause we just kind of did like whatever we wanted.
Played video games and
so like we dominated that year. Like our team was amazing. Just like a really deep team, like 3 or 4 solid lines. And, but yeah, like second half of the year, like NHL teams started to come out and watch, and that was like surreal. Like you still couldn't really believe it. Like, and my coach at the time, Mike Bondi, did like a pretty good job of like kind of sheltering them from me. Like he wasn't like making a big deal of it. Like, he'd call me and he'd be like, hey, listen, like these teams were here today. Like they were asking about you. I told them this. Like never actually talked to the teams a ton. And then. So like again, in your back of my mind, it's just like, okay, this is pretty cool, but like I'm playing junior B. There's no way you're going to get drafted or like, there's no way this is actually going to happen.
In your head, like how shitty are these NHL teams if they're looking at
I know, honestly. But that year there was like 3 or 4 guys in the league that they were looking at. Like I know like Pat Kennedy,
that's right.
In St. Thomas was on like they had their what are the lists called? Like the
there was like central scouting lists.
Prospect.
And stuff, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And he was on it, and I forget who else. There's a couple different guys. So it was a pretty strong year in junior B for that. And then like we ended up winning the championship. So we went deep into the playoffs that year. So like my mind was kind of focused on that more so than these NHL teams coming out to watch, which is still pretty crazy. And then I remember we, like before the draft leading up to it a couple weeks, there were, Toronto was one of the teams that called me. I remember I came home from school that day, probably like 1 o'clock, and I was sleeping all afternoon, like probably like 1 to 4, something crazy like that. And I remember I forget the scout's name that called me, and him just asking me a ton of questions. He'd be like, did you just wake up from a nap? I'm like, oh, no, I'm just doing some homework right now. Like, And so I talked to the Leafs a little bit, and then the Rangers had a local scout here too. And then, sure enough, I was at a golf tournament that day, and not really expecting a whole lot. And my buddy's brother called him, halfway through the round, and he's like, yeah, you just got drafted by the Rangers.
That's
like,
that's cool.
It's nuts. Yeah. And then 2 minutes later, they called me with my agent at the time, or my advisor. And but yeah, pretty crazy. Yeah. You mentioned small town. Like I remember going back to my parents' house after, and there was already like 50 people there.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, like it's like they kind of knew what was going on, and I was just like shocked. And then everyone was there and like really supportive, and yeah, like the town was really behind me, and it was pretty cool.
Oh, that's really cool
experience.
But when undrafted in the OHL,
yeah,
right, went in, walked on as a free agent just to see kind of camp with the Knights, and then you know, fast forward and then get drafted, you know, out of junior B, which is you know, pretty impressive, really.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Sure. Kev, do you want us to share our draft stories?
And we're done.
Thank you.
Good story.
Hey, we all ended up in the same place.
Oh,
so.
man, you know what? When the OHL draft back when I was a kid, I always joked that if a scout ever put me on their draft list and actually drafted me, looking back on it now, 100% should get fired, because I was pretty shitty. Like I was okay for minor hockey, but small, like not very skilled, like you know. But I had a buddy that went to the draft, so he was on the list or whatever, kind of later rounds, and he went to the draft. Yeah. And back then it was at an arena, so I think it was, let's say, North Bay, but you sit in the arena and you watch, and it's like a whole weekend, right? Sat there the entire weekend. I think there was 19 rounds back then, which is, it was ridiculous how many never got drafted. Sat there the whole weekend in a suit. Can you imagine though, right? Yeah. Yeah. Nowadays, you know, if you're not in the top 2-3 rounds, you know, NHL is a little bit different, but even the OHL now, everything's online, doesn't matter. But like and that did not happen to one guy. That happened to many players that just thought, you know, and hoped, and nothing happened, you know. So
some guys just go like me to support a buddy, like solely ignorant. Like I look back now, I'm like, what a loser. Like I was like, he's in a suit and he got drafted, whatever, and I'm in jeans just hanging out.
Were you the whole time though? Were you sitting there just like, oh, come on, please come again? Kitcher's up again. Kitcher's up again.
Yeah. True story. I was like getting fries, I think, or something at the rink. His name got, because he never knew when it was. Like I said, there's so many rounds. Like you could go in the 14th or the 18th. It's all the same. And I was like getting fries. I'm like, oh crap, there's his name. Like
you're just throwing ketchup on your fries. You're crushing your.
Yeah. And now I look back, I'm like, what a loser. Like just stay at home and play video games.
So quickly, highs and lows of college.
Yeah,
what was it?
you want to get to that? No,
the draft is way better. But yeah, like highs and lows of college, just kind of a quick like.
Yeah, so Western was a pretty like bottom of the league team when I jumped in. I think actually I went and watched them play Huntsville. Is what the game they brought me down to after I'd committed. Okay. And they like tied or something, so it was like a big weekend for them.
And you're thinking like, who the hell is Alabama Huntsville?
Yeah, but you know what? They had I'm getting off topic again, but they had a really good prospect who played there the first year, Mark Letetsu. Yeah, he plays in the NHL obviously for years now. But so he was like one of the guys I had talked to, and like they're like, oh, you're gonna get to play with Letetsu next year, and like kind of pumped that up a little bit too. And then I showed up there and he gets NHL deal after his freshman year. I was like, are you kidding? It's not even there anymore. Yeah, but so we had a tough first year. Myself personally, I did okay. I think I was second on the team in points. Like as a freshman, I got a ton of opportunity. Like I said, like a little bit of a weaker team my first year, and I was like top two lines and did pretty well. Yeah. But you're right. It's a long 4 years, and there's a lot of ups and downs. My second year, we turned out to be a little bit better. Like got a few younger kids come in there. And I think we were middle of the pack, but I was again like top two. I doubled my points, I think, like had a really strong year. And I was New York properties, so like they were kind of pumping up a little bit after that second year too. So like they were talking to me a bunch, coming to a bunch of games, and my advisor was saying a lot of good things. And then all of a sudden my third year, like we were awful again. And I don't know if it was just, I don't know if it was the coach. I know I didn't get along, but there was just kind of a bad vibe in the whole kind of room that year. And I was awful. Like I went down and I had the least amount of points I had out of any year, like less than my freshman year. Yeah. New York just stopped talking to me. Like, and like honestly, that was it. Like didn't even get invited to the development camp that year. I had gone every other. No way. Like it was a bad year. Wow. Like our coach, it's unfortunate, but like our coach ended up getting let go, like, which in college is unheard of, but he got let go during the year still. Wow. So like we were as a team interviewing new coaches. Like, that's crazy. Yeah. So our athletic director would come in and be like, hey guys, we're going to interview this guy today. So the whole team would go in and listen to this guy's pitch. And then like, there's like 3 or 4 coaches we did this to. Meanwhile, our coach knows he's fired.
Oh, he's still there.
And he finishes the year out.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
So
that's
needless to say, I got healthy scratched in playoffs.
yeah, because he knew you were in on the interviews. Like,
well, we were in Alaska and I headbutted a guy and got a penalty, and then he's like, "Yeah, you're not playing the next game."
Nice.
Yeah, but
nice.
But then my last year, we got a new coach, Jeff Blashill, coaches the Wings now, and totally changed the organization around. Like everything you can imagine, like the whole like program that we went by, like everything was changed. We were doing like 2-a-days every day. Like we run an academy here in the morning, like with us now, but we were talking today about like the kids doing the beep test and stuff like that. And if you don't get to a certain level, like we were giving it to the kids a little bit this morning, but same thing with us. If we had this test that we did, and if you didn't pass the test, and it wasn't easy by any means, you didn't get to start the year practicing. So there was like 4 or 5, 6 guys who, after my third year, who were really out of shape, kind of not the best attitude type guys. Yeah. Good skill players, but just didn't have the right attitude. And they didn't practice until like October.
Really?
Yeah, he wouldn't let them on with the team unless they reached this test, right? So
wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Like it totally changed the whole attitude and character of the team. Yeah. And just we rode that like all year. So we had pretty much the same team. We had a couple really sick freshmen like Danny DeKaiser came in, and he was kind of like under the radar. No one even knew who this kid was. And
really?
He was like one of our best D.
Yeah.
And then like Chase Ballasy, a couple of guys that are in the American League, NHL a little bit now, but which helped a ton.
Yeah.
But yeah, that turned out to be like a phenomenal year for me. New York still didn't really talk to me a whole lot. I think they still had kind of given up a little bit. But we ended up going to the finals of the CCHA, and then we got into the tournament and lost in double overtime in the national tournament to Denver. But best year for sure out of my 4, and like really cool way to finish it up.
Yeah.
But,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then what about you, Kev? What are kind of some of your ups and downs? And
I didn't have not that's a fairy tale, but the same fairy tale story. Like I went there and it was great. Early on in my first year.
You went through getting recruited by one camp and then a new camp
early
in,
on,
right?
like before even mid-season in my first year, the guy who kind of recruited me and kind of the guys that were a bit kind of behind me, they ended up parting ways. And the head coach was still there, the assistant coach, but so that was a little bit tough, but it was still okay. Like we had same coach actually, so the legend.
Yeah.
And they were he was a little bit more into like playing the upperclassmen, which was totally understandable in college. And so, I dressed every game and played fourth line minutes, and it was great. I was loving the experience. Like I think we can all say that the college life and the whole thing was awesome, and I love that. And so I was okay with my first year, did decent points wise, and I was okay with my playing time, just being in games. And then second year, same thing kind of happened. I was like a little disappointed, wanted to come in and make an impact. And same thing kind of happened, was on the fourth line, a little bit of opportunity here and there. And they decided to go through. It was actually the same thing that Max, we were interviewing coaches, same thing. They kind of put together a few of the guys and interviewed coaches, and they ended up bringing in Dan Cole, who played in the NHL and was pretty legit, and had coached in the AHL a little bit in the NHL, I think, I'm not sure. And he came in to kind of revamp the program and brought in like 11 or 12 of his own guys just to kind of put his stamp on it. And they were great, but understandably so. He kind of, that third year, he played his own guys and kind of jumped, he wanted to mold his recruits for over the next 4 years. So it's kind of that third year was tough for me, in and out of the lineup. And I could kind of see, luckily, the writing on the wall and halfway through my second year. And I liked college, but I was also, because I played all my junior, I was a little older, and I took school very seriously. So I always had full course load. So I decided a little bit through that second year to kind of put myself in a place where I could graduate early. So I took classes. I stayed every summer and took full course loads in the summer, and then extra class during the year. And I was able to, especially when that third year kind of went sour, I decided to graduate. So I was able to graduate in 3 years and get out a little bit early with my degree. And for me, it was great. I loved it. And then I was able to, I went right over to Europe. I was kind of, I knew I wasn't going to play for forever and didn't want to battle like the coast or wherever. Yeah. So I went right over to Europe and spent a couple years. And for me, it was great because I could kind of get there a year early, instead of spending that.
Well, and get out of a bad situation too. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Coach doesn't like you not playing. You want to quit. Like my first year at Alabama Huntsville, same thing. I think I played 11 games.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to quit hockey.
Yeah.
I was going to transfer. Like I was so pissed. Now looking back on it, like I wasn't that good, but you know, it's one of those things you don't get it at the time. You got to pay your dues.
Yeah.
But had there been a coaching switch in my second, third year, I'd snap if you know if you weren't able to play. You know, like
and college like is a grind. You know, and it's not a grind like North American like pro or whatever, or even OHL where you're like, you know, playing 3 and 4s a lot of weekends or 2 and 3s, whatever it is. It's like a ton of practicing and you're working out all the time, and then you throw class in on that. Like it's a grind. I found I loved it, but
and I think too one of the things with college I find is you've got 5 lines sometimes, right? So how like practice is almost like a game.
Yeah.
I remember being on the 4th line and I wanted to break wrists and try to get, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like how intense was PK and power play, and so it is. And now you got, you know, like you said, schooling on top of that, which is a lot.
Yeah.
Like, do you guys remember going from college to pro and what that first like couple weeks in pro was like coming out of college? It's like you got all kinds of time on your hands. You don't have to read a book. You don't have to do an essay. Like it's unbelievable.
It was amazing.
Like, it's such a nice kind of slow down and just like wow, this is so nice. You know. And then you were the tornado, I think, in Europe, right? Was your name?
Yeah, that's it.
Was there maybe like a couple like banners on the wall? Like,
sure, you can bring all you guys to my house. It's a life-size picture in the.
Yes, that's right. That's great.
They just see, you know, you go to Europe, and I loved it over there, but they just see a little guy. It doesn't even matter if you're fast. They just assume you're fast, and it
got the tornado.
Up. Yeah, it was the tornado.
That's the nickname?
Yeah, that's it.
That's amazing.
It's a whirlwind.
That's amazing.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And then what was it like for pro for you after? So you ended up playing North America a little bit and then went over to Europe after. But being a part of the Rangers organization, was there opportunity after college to play within that organization?
Yeah. So like I said, they kind of wrote me off a little bit after the 3rd year. And then like my agent was pushing hard to try to get them back on my 4th year because I did have a really good year. And then they ended up offering me a one-way American League contract. And then a couple other teams did as well. And my advisor's, his look on it was that I should probably go back with the Rangers since that was the team that drafted me. And so I ended up signing a American League deal with them, went to camp, and did okay.
They were pretty loaded though, weren't they? They have a good team then.
The Rangers?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even know. I kind of, in my head, I was like, there's like the same thing. Like there's no way I'm going to make the Rangers probably like right out of college, but like was really hoping to stick in the American League.
Yeah.
And then I went to camp and it was almost like I got the feeling like they had already kind of written me off. Like, why would you sign me if, you know what I mean? I just got that vibe. Coaches never really came to talk to me a whole lot. Yeah. Like even when I got cut, like released, it was like the other, like the 3rd assistant that came in, like, you know what I mean? So it just wasn't a good feeling. And then I got sent down to the East Coast team, which was in South Carolina. So it was pretty cool. I was like, go live down south for a bit. And the coach there was just like, this guy was like super old school and like same thing, pretty much already had his team picked. A lot of like returning, like strictly East Coast guys, like some beauties on the team, like great guys and stuff, but like played like a mean, like run and gun game and like wrote me off right away. So like my attitude got really poor after that. And it's unfortunate, like, but that's what happened. And then after like a month or so, I ended up dislocating my knee, like after practice, just doing like a couple skill drills. And that was kind of the end of my first, I guess, half of that year. I had to get surgery, and around Christmas time, I think I came back and I was about to make a road trip to Florida, and he gives me a call. He's like, "Yeah, we just traded you." I'm like, "Oh, perfect! Like, where am I going?" I was like, when I got it, I was like, I thought he was going to call and say like, "I'm not making the trip."
Yeah, right.
And then he told me I was traded. I was like, so like, my smile was so huge. I was glad it was on the phone, not right in front of his face, but. And he's like, "Yeah, you're going out to California." I was like, this is the best thing ever. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I went out to Stockton, who was like a contender in the West Division, and played top line with like a couple like really good players. And I ended up like a point a game. Like we made it to like the semis or something. And it was just the best experience ever. And then the next year they wanted me to come back, and I was fully intending to. And then Blashill, my coach from college, got the, head coaching job in the American League for the Griffins for Grand Rapids. Yeah. So he was like, hey, like come try out for me. And that happened to be the year of the lockout.
Oh yeah.
So
right.
I was going to go, I was really looking forward to, cause playing college in Michigan, like watching the Wings at the time, like Datsuk, Zetterberg, like pretty storied team. Right. And, that was the year of the lockout. So I missed going to the NHL camp, which was kind of a bummer, but I went to the American League camp with like a lot of big names still, like Nyquist and Yurko, and like some of the guys that ended up sticking and playing, right? But ended up signing an East Coast deal with Toledo in the East Coast or in that league, and then same thing, like a decent start. They were affiliate with Detroit and Chicago, so a lot of guys coming down like tough. But and then halfway, I think I had a hat trick after Christmas. I come back the next day. We traded you too. I'm like, are you kidding me?
No way.
Yeah, traded me to Bakersfield, California, which was the last place team in the league. So I ended up driving out there. I got there and they were so bad, and I was just like, I need to get out of here. So I had been talking to a buddy over in Europe, so I jumped over to Norway actually for the second half of that year, and then finished that year out. It was a pretty cool experience. And then I ended up 3 years in Germany after that.
Cool.
But yeah.
That's good. Now, do you have any regrets on stopping on like finishing up? Because I know we met a couple years ago and you were kind of.
Oh no, like you in Europe?
Yeah, no. Done playing. Like, do you miss playing or?
No, I just got to a point where like it was a really cool experience over there because you don't play as many games. Like you make pretty good money. It's all tax free. Yeah. You're living in Europe, right? You get to travel a bunch, but I just found myself like I just wasn't in as fully committed as I needed to be. Like I miss being home around family, and you're gone for 9-10 months out of the year. And I was ready, and like, it was a tough decision to just finally be like, okay, you're done. Cause I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do, but yeah, no regrets really.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And you had like a good looking girl to come back to. So it made it easy, right?
Yeah, that helps too for sure. Yeah.
Who's not your wife? So
you know what? She probably would have loved to come over and just be.
Yeah.
Just sit it. Yeah.
But you're cheap, so you didn't like know how to
exactly.
School. You got to get a good job so I can come back and you're working.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Maybe buy a house before I come home if you don't mind.
Yeah. Just going to be stay-at-home dad here for a bit.
Yeah. But go on kind of what Kevin, you were kind of alluding to earlier, but as you grew up through minor hockey and even college, probably college a little bit more, but same with you. I mean, I never heard anything about skill development. Like skill development for us was your dad in his tube skates out there trying to show you how to take a snapshot, which is, terrible, right?
Oh yeah. And
then, a lot of times, and you hear this a lot from the older generation, right? That's still like really, really short sticks and straight blades. That, Wayne Gretzky never did skill development, or these, what did Wayne Gretzky have in his backyard every single winter? An outdoor rink. Yeah. And if you think, Walter Gretzky wasn't out there, barking orders once in a while and putting pylons out or rocks out or whatever. I mean, so he was on that rink all the time. And I can attest to this being from Sudbury. There was outdoor rinks in every neighborhood. Yeah. So if you went to a buddy's house, you brought your skates and you go to outdoor rinks. Or on the weekend, we get up at, I'm not joking, it'd be dark. We walk down there 6-7 o'clock in the morning, stay there all day.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not saying like that. I'm not saying I'm tremendously skilled because I did that. But what I'm getting at is like, I learned how to play hockey, but my learning curve was so fast because I was on the ice legit 3, 4, 5 times a week. I remember going there before games. I'd go out there in the morning and we played Saturday night. And I loved it. So I'm maybe a little bit different, but nowadays it's kind of totally changed where you have your shooting coach, your skills coach, your skating coach, whatever, and we're fortunate we're in that side of it as far as just, we do that skill stuff. And I think we do a very good job of, trying to stay up with the times and trying to keep up with what's going on in the new game and how things are changing and how we can help these young players perform like these NHL guys at young ages, or at least start to do that, But I remember when you first came back from playing, Max, one of the things I remember you telling me was, I didn't really even know that like this could be a job, like this could be kind of a living, you know? And now, with both of you guys kind of being in the industry, I guess, like Campbell, start with you because you started a little while ago, but what were your thoughts, I guess, the first, year, even couple months of you getting into this, being like, holy smokes, this actually, this can work,
And there was a lot, when I look back, and I was like you, it was an old school, like everyone did power skating. There was one person out there barking orders. You went up and down the ice in a straight line for 50 minutes. Like I remember doing that and I didn't like it. Like I should have, like when I was really, really young. And then
nobody likes power skating.
Well, no, we joke about it now, like don't use that word. Like it's just it's a bad word.
Yeah.
But when when I met you and kind of came here, and everyone went to hockey schools in the summer and worked hockey schools, which I did as I grew up and started working for you, and saw kind of the other side. Like the hockey school stuff's great, like kind of like the summer camp stuff, and then saw some of the other stuff you're doing. I'm like, holy man, look at this stuff. It's awesome. And now I look back and I remember that first like year, like you said, being like, you played hockey your whole life, and like not in the NHL, but at a fairly high level, and I don't know anything about the game. Like I couldn't teach what you taught. I really couldn't, and some people, even right now, I guarantee, you work with NHL guys and you could go there and that guy's better than you, faster than you, shoots harder than you, but couldn't tell you why or how or what's wrong when, and my learning curve that first while was, even now is crazy. So learning the ins and outs of like, why is this working, or why are you not getting faster, or why are you losing your balance when you do this, was for me, I was kind of taken by like, this is a whole nother side of the game that I didn't know was there. I didn't know that stuff was there at a level of like maybe just AAA level or junior level, never mind a pro level, those guys doing that stuff. So it was eye opening for me. Like, this is cool. I can stay in the game. When I was young or even getting older, I'm like, if you wanted to stay in the game, it meant getting a job in an office with a hockey team, and that was staying in the game. Like you're around the rink. Now I'm like on the rink, So it was something that I didn't think was possible. And it was perfect for me just because I enjoyed being here and enjoyed staying on the ice and that sort of thing. But
definitely.
What about you, Max? What was like kind of your first, let's say your first 6 months kind of being in it, and is there anything that kind of popped to you where you're like, oh man, this is cool, or this is a bit of a drag, or this is a bit of a bagger?
No. I remember, like, I think it was the summer, like right before the summer that I first jumped in. And so there's a lot of summer camps and stuff like that, which was a great time to start.
Yeah, because you're right in the trenches.
Yeah.
That's the bagger.
Oh, no, it's
central.
good. But I remember, like, just doing some simple skating stuff, just breaking down some simple skating stuff and just thinking, like, same thing Kev just said, I've never heard of this before. Like, I've never thought, like, I always knock myself on my skating, like definitely before I went to college, for sure. I struggled. That was the weakest part of my game. And I was like, this could have helped me so much. Like just knowing like, okay, certain like skating technique or stuff that I'm doing wrong, like even like little video stuff or stuff like that. Like I could have used that a ton. Like I remember thinking that like, maybe I should go back for a year after this. Like I'm going to be a much better skater. And just simple. It wasn't like we were reinventing the wheel or anything. It was just simple stuff that I never thought to break down.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the guy that ever went to power skating. Same thing. I heard that. I'm like, brutal. Like, and there was only a couple guys in Strathroy that would even do it growing up. But like, I think that really could have benefited my game. But as far as the first couple of months, like, it was the same thing. I just really enjoyed working with like a wide variety of players and seeing, like you said, picking out certain things from each player and being able to like pursue what they're doing wrong or see what's going on rather than just a group of kids. Yeah. Like you say, straight line, do the same thing, right? Just being able to adapt to everyone is pretty cool for me. Like,
I think one of the big things too, getting into on the skills side of it, I've had an opportunity to coach and obviously be a skills coach, but you look at the game a little bit differently, and when you look at, as a skills coach, you look at, or let's say as a coach, so coach in the AHL or minor hockey, you look at games and systems and how they're attacking and how they're defending and how their power play is, how their PK is. And then when you look at skills, like now you're looking at how that player cut back on the wall to make a play to that high guy in the 3-on-2, or you're looking at how that player, how Backstrom makes a fake with his eyes to open up a lane to make a pass for a goal. So you're looking at way different skill sets or way different vision of the game. And now by looking at it that way, now you can pick apart stuff that guys need to work on, whether it's NHL or minor hockey, doesn't matter. And things that can help them become a little more efficient, or even just making them aware. Because a lot of times, you tell kids this all the time, we're not changing anything. We're just making you aware, and then you got to make the changes. So if you're aware that when you cross over, you're jumping, well, now just stay low and now get your pushes, and that's going to help. But if they're not aware of that, then they don't know. And I think that's one of the big misses in minor hockey, especially, is a lot of the coaches, not their fault. They just don't know. So they're trying to teach kids the way that they think is right, and they're creating a lot of bad habits, unfortunately. And then these kids are kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit. And then that's where guys like us get that business where mom's watching them skate against the other kids. Like, man, my kid can't skate. And maybe he's been told the wrong way. Maybe he's never had work done or whatever. And then all of a sudden, they're showing up with us or somebody else doing skill development stuff, And the one thing that's tough in our industry, I think, like every industry, I think insurance, banks, whatever, is there's a lot of other ones popping up now. There's a lot of other skill development coaches popping up. And not to say some of them aren't good. I'm sure a lot of them are good, but we've had a chance a lot of times to go to rinks and see other skill development sessions going on. And sometimes you shake your head.
Yeah.
Wow. This is unbelievable that, people are paying for that, And I think that's sort of another big disservice is for a lot of the kids, and parents too, obviously kind of getting snowed on certain people or what they're doing,
But wait, let me interrupt you for a sec. Let me flip this on you. You're always asking questions, but when you ask Max and I, we were lucky enough to have someone like you that showed us, kind of like, yeah, I'm here and could always use another guy that loves the game or whatever. How did it happen for you where you realized like
I totally got suckered into it.
Yeah.
I mean, no, what happened, to be honest with you, I was playing in the East Coast League down in I was in Biloxi, and we'd started this little kind of hockey school business down in Huntsville where I went to school, and we would go back there in the summer and work it a little bit and literally sat around the table like this and divvied up cash at the end of the weeks or 2 weeks or whatever. And then we started getting a little bit bigger, and I go back every summer when I was playing pro. And so Nathan, who lives from London, and the UW Hockey School, which is the big university here, ended up coming for sale. And Nathan's like, we should buy it. And we're all young and stupid. Just like, yeah, it's a great idea. Let's do it. So at the time, there was 4 of us involved in it. So we ended up buying this UW Hockey School. Well, one of my buddies was already married. Nathan was dating, and he was down and stuck there. He was working a full-time job. My other buddy was not interested in moving. So I'm like, I'll move up, and I'll run it for the summer. So I came up and ran this hockey school for the summer, but it was a sinking ship. Like, it was pretty shitty. So we ended up working it, and I moved in with my buddy's parents, lived in the basement, but I didn't really know what I was going to do. So originally I wanted to be kind of more like a exercise phys guy. That's what I took in school, and work guys out and train guys off ice and do on ice a little bit. And then what happened was, when the school was really crappy, so I didn't really make any money. And then I was basically in debt after the first year. I couldn't pay my ice bills, things like that. Like not preaching, but just it was shitty, right? So I needed to figure out ways to like make it work somehow. And so I was working at a gym, working at a gym. And then randomly, his name's Davis Brown. He's a 1995 good player, played in the O. His parents, I was coaching. I was at the gym. A dad came out to me and said, "Hey, do you want to help coach my son's Pee Wee team or Adam team?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Like, didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody in London. So I got in with this 95 team, started helping them out. And then one of the moms came up to me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in a private with my son?" I was like, okay, what is that, right? Like, so we kind of like, she's like, "Oh, just like a one-on-one, you just need some help with some stuff." I'm like, okay. So I got a deal with on ice at Thompson Arena, because I was doing a lot of stuff up there with the hockey school. And then we started doing privates, and he was like the first guy. And what happened was, he was a real hardworking kid, so he made some pretty good improvements quickly. And then the next year when he came back to camp or back to tryouts or whatever, his shot was like ridiculous. But he was also working on it a ton off the ice. It wasn't just because of me, but I was teaching him technique on how to snap a puck. And he had, I don't know if you guys remember him. His shot was, you guys played with him. Yeah, shot was ridiculous, but he worked his tail off on it. And that's not just because of me, but technically he listened and he bought into it, and he practiced a ton with it. So all of a sudden parents are like, "What'd you guys do all summer?" And then it just started, like, not just because of him, but then other parents. And at the time I started taking on some other clients. And then what I did is I started Total Package Hockey as kind of like a more specified skill development. So UW Hockey School is a big hockey school for fun. And then Total Package Hockey was kind of like, power skating and all that stuff. And I taught power skating like my whole life. I took it when I was young because my mom was involved in the city programs up in Sudbury. So I kind of took it and taught it, kind of my whole life. And then when I got down here, I started like teaching programs like that and a bunch of different stuff. But I learned a lot as I went, like even shooting a snapshot. Like I wasn't a great shooter until probably college and then pro. And then I really broke down how to shoot and everything. Like every skill we do now, it's kind of the same thing. Kind of break it down. Like, okay, how do you do that? Mm-hmm. You see a good move, or you see a player pull a puck off the wall. Like, how do you do that? And then we kind of look at it, break it down. Like, okay, try it out on the ice, and then break it down. It's a simple teaching points that kids can digest. And I think that's what I think that's where I've had success is, and I think you guys are amazing at it as well, is being able to relate to the kids, but then also telling them, okay, this is when you would use it in a game. Because there's something about going out in the ice and doing 5 circles, but you're never going to use circles in a game working on crossover. So do something that's more applicable to why you would use it or how you would use it,
And you mentioned it quick before, also changing, like the game's changed. So you can't be a successful coach if you don't change with the game. There's no one still coaching like at any level the way they used to coach 20 years ago.
Well,
some
are.
maybe some are, but do you know what I mean? It doesn't work.
No,
so
for sure.
as a skills guy, you have to change with the game. It's way different. And I'm sure, especially you, because you've been in it so long, that
you saying I'm old?
That you've probably seen some massive differences. Even maybe just the way you're teaching skating or shooting or even tweaking things. We talk about it all the time. We're just shooting the shit in the office and being like, hey, what about trying this? Or how does this feel? And sometimes we're like, that's no good, or I don't like it, or it works for this guy. Maybe it doesn't work for this guy. But it's probably come along. I couldn't think of just how long I've been here. Probably even you, Max. So you've probably seen some big.
Well, and even I looked at a document I had for a PowerPoint that I did, a presentation I did 2-3 years ago. It wasn't that long ago, and I looked at some of the wording that I had in there for whatever it was, some skill, and I was like, man, we don't even teach it that way anymore. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's totally different, and we teach it. So I had to redo the whole thing because it was something that we don't do that anymore. It's just not something some people do it, but it's not applicable. It doesn't apply to a game. What if you guys had to pick and we'll do it together. But what would you say a couple of the main skills would be for a young player? And it doesn't have to be necessarily just hockey skills, as far as skating, that's part of it, obviously. But what would you suggest to players to work on to become kind of those elite players? Those whether they're trying to go from A to AA or AA to AAA. But what are a couple of things, couple areas that you'd recommend to really kind of focus on?
I think there's no way, and that we don't like the power skating word, but it's just skating, and I think the easy people always relate, and players and parents always relate to the NHL, but look at Nashville 2 years ago. You know what I mean? When they kind of went on that run, and they had a young team, not crazy overly skilled, but they could skate, man. They were crazy when they went to the finals, and that right there. If they couldn't skate, it didn't matter if they had 25 Patrick Kanes that could dangle. Maybe that would have been okay, but that might have been okay. But they could just move, So there's no way you're ever too strong, too fast, too comfortable in game situations. Just work on your skating, and see that with some of these pro guys coming back, these legit pro guys, whoever, Holy Matt or whatever, always coming back. What's he want to do? Just break down his skating, do more. And that for me, that's the one that sticks out. And not everyone's willing to do it. It's not always super fun, but not everyone's willing to do it. So if you find a player at any age, whether he's 12 or whether he's 22, that wants to do it, you're like, let's work on that.
Yeah, for sure. And just going out, keep with the skating topic, but if you think about younger kids, like young kids trying to make that step, like Adam, Pee Wee, I know a lot of the kids that we work with, they really struggle on their edges, more specifically, right? Like some of them can turn awesome to their right and they go to their left side and they still scared to put that second foot down or stuff like that. So I think even a lot of the edge work stuff that we do, but like just getting comfortable at a young age, being on all different edges and different situations, right? Just really committing to that, I guess, which is, it's easier to said than done, but and it's not always the most fun sessions for the kids like that. But if they feel comfortable reacting or turning any situation during a game, they're going to benefit from that, right? Instead of having to always turn one way or always stop one way, turn their back to the puck. If they can adapt to those changes at a young age, I think that would help a ton. Yeah,
but I agree. If you go to a locker room at any age and say, "Hey, we're going to be power skating today," I'm sick. My hammy hurts. But there is a way to make power skating fun. Yeah. I mean, even we run a program here with no pucks for 2 weeks, and we don't have very many kids who are like, I want to leave the ice or I'm not coming back. And again, if you can sell it to them the right way, and this is why you would use this is why we're not using pucks, because when we use pucks, everything goes to shit. So we got to not use pucks so we can focus on what we're doing. Yeah. Edging, I think, is a massive piece, and skating, obviously edging and skating go hand in hand. But the better players on their edges, the better they're going to be as a skater.
Yeah, and I don't mean just skating a straight line.
Everything, all that stuff. I think it's huge for sure. One thing too that I think that we neglect a little bit as coaches, and we started talking about this, and we do a lot more of this stuff with the groups we work with, but is getting players to be aware of their surroundings. So you're a good skater, and balance and agility is huge, and being able to get up, down as young kids, and then obviously adapt because the game is so fast. But I think another piece of that is having a 360-degree view and being able to look around, shoulder check, and look and see what's around you. And at young ages, I was out with a group last week. It was a little young team, and that's one of the things I was preaching to them, get your head up when you're coming around a cone, look in front of you, look around, because so many kids have their head down all the time, looking at their puck. And if they can start practicing, if coaches could preach head up, and I don't just mean head up like we were when we were kids, stick handle your head up. I mean head. on a swivel, going left, right, all the way around so you can see what's going on, you know. I think that would help tremendously, first of all, with like contact and concussions, but make players much better and much more aware of what's around them and contact and guys that are open, things like that. And I think that's something that's, again, part of that new age of the game. As I mean, 5-6 years ago, no one really taught a little bit of shoulder checking for a D, going back for a puck, but now it's forwards going in on the forecheck or going in to retrieve a puck for a forward and now looking over the shoulder and making a chip to the open winger or open whoever, right? But I think that's another piece that's maybe not so much a hardy skill, like a muscular skill, but it's definitely something that I think, you know, it should be addressed a ton with, you know.
Well, we talked about this, but what happens when you watch the highlights in the morning and parents are watching their coffee, having a coffee, or kids are eating their cereal and they see Crosby make a no-look pass? Like, it looks like a no-look pass, but you know, and you're always preaching, it's like, no, he looked, and then he came and got the puck, a little fake, and he just fired it, you know, sort of blindly, but not really blindly.
Well, in an area, right?
It wasn't a guess at all, you know, and that comes back to, on the skill side, you mentioned before, like doing drills, not just doing 5 circles, doing something where you're coming around a cone, like you said, looking over your shoulder, you're peeking, you're checking, and then you gotta, you know, use your edges and come out and take a shot. Like it's on the skill coach. It's the players that have to do it, but as coaches for us and guys working with kids or players, we have to put them in drills or little situations where they can find a game situation in there, you know, where they do have to look over their shoulder and they do have to get a little pressure and then protect it and shoot or whatever it is. You know, there's so many different areas, but trying not to just do the same old things all the time.
Yeah, I know for sure. I want to do this again. I want to keep. I want to kind of get a little bit of roundtable. We'll get Scott in here too because he's always got some good insight and stuff on skill development, and working with Vegas is obviously a nice. Well, let's get some Vegas stories, and hopefully we'll have a nice Vegas shirt for us when he comes in. But yeah, we'll chat but I'd like to do this even because there's a lot of topics we can talk about today. I just kind of want to talk to you guys about kind of your background and how you guys got into this whole mess we've kind of created, I guess. But we'll leave it quickly with just a couple quick questions for both of you. But Max, if you had to go back to, let's say, that guy in his third year having a terrible year and kind of turned off of hockey, or that young you at minor midget, you know, what's some advice that you would give to your young self that's struggling, that was kind of, man, you know what, I'm ready to maybe throw the deck in here?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe just kind of step outside, like, and look at it from the outside and just see that, look, you're already kind of in an opportunity here that not a lot of people get. And like, even worst case, you have a bad year and you finish up school next year, you got a degree, like you got, you know, your school paid for. There's a lot more to it than just the hockey side of things. But as far as the hockey, like the game, and we've talked about it a bunch, is like, it's such a mental grind. Everyone, it's not just you going through these mental grinds, these ups and downs. Like the guy next to you is doing the same thing. So if you just persevere and try to get out of it, there's going to be some kind of success down the road. So you just kind of keep, and that's like we talked about it again today, is you've been in that situation where you want to quit, you want to be done, and then all of a sudden one good thing happens, and it's like, oh, I love hockey. Like I want to go to the rink every day. Like or you get on a winning team, you get a trade, and you get that new opportunity. There's always opportunities down the road. You just kind of look past that first barrier. Yeah,
no, for sure. And would you say that those, maybe not so much minor midget because you're young, but that college, or do you think that strengthened you as a person, like kind of going through that and being miserable at the rink and then having to battle through school and all that stuff? And you look back on that now and be like, that may have been a good thing for me?
100%. Yeah. Like that was the toughest time of my life. Like as far as how hard we were working from a day-to-day basis, like school, like practice 2 days, whatever. Like it's literally, people kind of compare it to like some of like the army regiment, right? Like you have like your routine, you got to follow it or else you're going to get penalized for it. Right. But, it truly, I think, built a lot of character in me, and looking back, like those were the hardest times of my life, but those were like the best times of my life. Yeah. Like those were when I was at my peak, like my best shape I've ever been in. Right. Yeah. Like you're with a group of brothers that you don't get an opportunity to do that very often for 4 years. Right. So a lot of good came out of that, even though it was such a grind for 4 years. But yeah.
Oh, it's good. What about you, Kev? What would you kind of go back and, you went through maybe a bit of a tough time second half of your college career, so 2.5 years into the end. What would you kind of go back and tell yourself to?
It's so easy now to look. If I knew now what I if I knew then what I know now, you know, you're like, holy, and Matt, you joked about it earlier, like, man, you're way better skater now, or like even for me.
Yeah.
So it's easy to say now, like, oh, if I could just go back. But I kind of got to echo what Max said, like, just stay with it, you know? And for me, I was fairly persevering and hardworking, but I would probably have tried to battle through another year or two, you know, and I love what I'm doing now, but you can't go back. So I probably would have tried to stick with it. Not to make the NHL or whatever, but just
played a little bit longer.
I probably would have played a little bit longer,
Yeah.
and for no other reason than I still loved it.
Yeah.
You know, and you can still love the game and be done, but that's probably it. And I wish I would have had the foresight to look at this side, this skill development stuff, this piece that I see now, to be like, oh man, I would have eaten that up.
Yeah.
When I was,
and maybe got better, right?
well,
like
yeah,
if you're
for
the right
sure,
guy,
for
you know?
sure. So I wish I would have had the
Yeah.
foresight to say, like, man, why don't I get someone that knows more than me to teach me some, other than my coach, to teach me the game and that side of it, but to find someone, you know, that you trust and that you're like, yeah, I want to help me here. I don't know what's going on, or how can I get better in these areas. So
Yeah.
I think it's just for, you know, if I was giving advice to anyone, just find someone that you're comfortable with, whether it's on ice, off ice, and see what you can learn.
Yeah.
You know, when you're done, you're done. But just find somebody and trust them and see what you can learn. You know.
Yeah. I think a lot of times as parents, especially the older school generation, I think, you know, when I was growing up and you guys were growing up, it was, you know, you go to school, you go to college or university or trade school, you get a job, you get a mortgage, you get married, you have kids. Well, that sucks. Like no, I'm just kidding. No, but it is like, you know, if you're a young guy at 19, 20, you're going to go to school, you're done school, then you go play pro. What's at the end of that? A mortgage? That's brutal. We each have mortgages, terrible. Or a job at a bank, or even with us, like, you know, coming in on skill side, amazing. But if you had to push it off a year or two, probably would have been something open, you know, down with somebody else or me or whoever. But I think parents need to relax a little bit. I was very fortunate. My parents were, I did a victory lap in high school. Like, we already had grade 13. I went back and upgraded some classes, like grade 14, basically. But my parents were like, no, follow your dream. Like, you know, you only got a small window to play hockey. So, you know, play junior another year and see what happens. It worked out for me, which was great. But there was never, but I felt almost a little bit of pressure because my buddies were going to university and they're already in their first year university. I'm like, oh man, look at me. Like, I'm a loser playing college hockey or playing junior hockey. These guys are all in school. And, but now I look back and I'm like, oh man, I could have taken another 2 years of junior and just enjoyed it and had fun with it, you know? And I know I talked to my first year of college, I wanted to quit. You know, it was the worst year of hockey for me. But that was the year that I look back and I'm like, man, I get it. Like, I totally get what the coach is doing. Not that I agree with it, but and that was one of the biggest years that strengthened me into my second year, third year, and fourth year. I was like, I could put up with anything. And then when I went to play pro, there was nothing better, I think, for all of us than going to play professional hockey with a degree in your back pocket. Yeah. Because you knew at any time if something was going bad or things were going shitty, you could just like, I'm going to go check out and see if this thing will get me a job, you know? And we've all played with guys that were 35. I was 35 with the U-Haul and 2 dogs and 3 kids, and they're playing, you know, East Coast or AHL, moving around, you know? Yeah.
No school. Nothing.
Right, no school. They kind of have to. They go home in the summer, work for their dad in the construction, you know, company, and come back and do it again. You know, nowadays I think, you know, players can make a good living playing in the AHL for 10 years, 20 years, or even longer. Right, Europe,
opportunity in Europe.
As long as they're smart with their money and they, you know, do some good things. There's tons of opportunity. Right, but I think it's you know, the game's changed. Obviously, things have changed, but I think for parents and players, I think it's enjoy it, man. You've got a window of till you're 35, 40 max to play. Like, push it as much as you can, as far as you can, for sure, you know?
And for everybody, like parents, kids, just everyone's on their own path. You said it. You had your buddies finishing university. You were going into university and you weren't going there. I have a twin sister who was like graduated university before I was like going in. Thanks a lot, Kelly. But, you know, but everyone's different. The same on the hockey side. Like, you get drafted, you don't get drafted. You play major, midget, you play junior, whatever. Like, just enjoy the path that you're on. You know, if you enjoy it, keep working at it, and we're all end up in the same place. It's just a matter of how we get there. So just enjoy it.
And for some parents, I think, and kids and players, they don't know what the path is, right? Which is fine. But I mean, there's the internet. There's people everywhere. You know, as long as you get someone that doesn't have a vested interest, maybe, or someone that's going to actually give you some good advice, there's tons of opportunity to find these, you know, these options and what your option is, what your path is, and kind of go from there, you know. But so we'll wrap up for today, but definitely we'll do this again in the near future and try to get some of these out where we'll talk maybe a little bit more in depth on even skills and how we kind of break down skills and some different things like that. And we'll come up with some different topics we'll chat about.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you. Take care. Come here.